Extreme heat is gripping much of the country, and it has already been deadly for 3 children this year. On average, 38 children die every year from heat stroke inside a vehicle.
And over the last 3 decades, more than 1,000 children have died in these incidents.
Backseat alerts on new cars could go a long way to help end these tragedies, but there is no requirement for these still.
Joining us now to explain why is Janette Fennell, the president for Kids and Car Safety. Thank you so much, Janette, for joining us this morning. Now, Congress has ordered the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to start requiring car makers to install these backseat alert systems in all new cars. 2.5 years later, there's still no requirement. Why is that?
Well, we're very disappointed about that. And, when Congress says this is what you need to do by law, one would hope that the Department of Transportation would, hop on that right away. But they're having some delays in testing, and we're staying on top of it. But we need this technology in our vehicles just as quickly as possible.
Now, Janette, fortunately, many car makers have voluntarily started adding back seat alerts to cars. But why are those alerts? Why are they not enough?
Well, unfortunately, nobody understands how they work. And we already know 6 children have died in vehicles that have that alert. We call it door sequencing. What it means is if you open the back door before you leave on your trip, that when you arrive, you should receive a flashing message on your dashboard that says check the back seat. But you could put a bag of potato chips back there and you'd get that same message. So it's not effective. Parents think they have this protection. Somehow they think it has to do with weight, but really it just has to do with the order you're opening and closing your doors. And that clearly is not enough.
The rental car that I had this past week when I was in Corpus Christi had that backseat alert, and I didn't have a child with me, so I definitely understand that. Now, most people can't understand how a parent could possibly forget their child in the back seat, but that's not the same thought many of these parents that did tragically forget their child until it happened to them. So how do we break this mindset?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. But we really want people to know that the most important thing or the worst thing you could ever do is think that it couldn't happen to you or your family, because that's the biggest mistake you can make. Because if you understand you're vulnerable, and this is just science, our prospective memory really loses out to our autopilot when we're stressed or tired. And it can happen without even realizing it's happening. So we really need to make sure people understand it can happen to anyone, and it has.
So for all of us who don't have backseat alerts in our car, what are some tips to create our own reminders to check the backseat?
Well, we have a program that's called Look Before You Lock. And what we suggest is always having a stuffed animal or some item in the child's car seat. Always think of it as having something in the car seat. So as soon as you put the baby in, you take that, let's say, stuffed animal, and you put it up in the front seat. We're cue dependent as adults. So if the stuffed animal's in the back seat, it won't fit with the baby. So you always have something in that seat. You put that stuffed animal in the front passenger seat, and that's your cue. Look before you lock. It will cause you then to open the back door and make sure no one's been left behind. It also helps with your cell phone, your handbag, anything you're going to need at your destination. So you will open that back door. And the other thing we always want to emphasize is sometimes kids get in on their own. So make sure you keep those car doors locked, even if it's in the garage or in the driveway.
It's true. Kids can be very, very curious, and they can be very sneaky as well. Janette Fennell, president of Kids and Car Safety, thank you so much for being with us. Extreme heat has been a big conversation this week because there's been many areas that have seen extreme heat that haven't experienced it in a while, like Maine.
Exactly.